The church was perfect. 500 guests, imported flowers, a bride in $100,000 dress. Kael Voss, the billionaire tech mogul and Atlanta's most eligible bachelor, stood at the altar, ready to say, "I do." The priest opened his mouth to speak, and that's when the doors burst open. A woman in tattered clothes ran down the aisle, dirty, thin, barefoot. Security rushed toward her. The bride screamed, but before anyone could stop her, the woman grabbed the billionaire's arm and pulled him toward her. "Please," she whispered, "please look at me." Kael looked at her face, and the moment he recognized her, he fell to his knees, because he knew that face. He had searched for it for 15 years, and now he understood why she had come. "Now, before I tell you what happened next, I need you to do something for me. If you love stories with twists you never see coming, stories that make your jaw drop and your heart race, hit subscribe and turn on that notification bell, because this story, it's about to take a turn that will leave you speechless. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. This was supposed to be the happiest day of Kael Voss's life, the day he married the woman of his dreams. At least that's what he thought. The Cathedral of Christ, the King in Atlanta, had never looked more beautiful. 10,000 white roses flown in from Ecuador, crystal chandeliers brought from Italy, a 60-piece orchestra playing Handel as guests took their seats. 500 of Atlanta's most powerful people filled the pews. Senators, CEOs, celebrities, everyone who mattered. And at the altar stood Kael Voss, 36 years old, 6'2", handsome in a custom Tom Ford tuxedo that cost more than most people's cars. His company, Voss Technologies, was worth $6.8 billion. His face had been on the cover of every major business magazine. He had houses in Atlanta, Dubai, and Lagos, private jets, a yacht, everything a man could want. And today he was getting the final piece, a beautiful wife, Sienna Vale, Delia to her friends. She walked down the aisle like a queen, in a $100,000 Vera Wang gown, a diamond tiara that once belonged to European royalty, a smile that could launch 1,000 magazine covers. She was stunning, the kind of woman other women envied and men dreamed about. And in 15 minutes, she would be Mrs. Voss. Kael watched her approach, his heart full. This is it, he thought. Everything I've worked for, everything I've built, it all means something now. His best friend, Liora Hale, stood beside him as best man. Ronan leaned in and whispered, "You ready, brother?" More than ready. But something flickered in Ronan's eyes, something Kael didn't notice. Doubt. Ronan had never liked Delia, never trusted her. He'd tried to warn Kael 100 times. She's not right for you. Something about her is off. But Kael wouldn't listen. He was in love, or what he thought was love. Delia reached the altar. Her father placed her hand in Kael's. "Take care of my daughter," the old man said. "With my life," Kael replied. The priest began. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to witness the union of Kael and Sienna in holy matrimony." The words washed over the crowd. Beautiful, traditional, perfect. If anyone has any reason why these two should not be joined in marriage, speak now or forever hold your peace. Silence. The priest smiled and continued. "Do you, Kael Voss, take Sienna? Bang! The cathedral doors exploded open. Every head turned, and there, silhouetted against the afternoon sun, stood a woman, thin, dirty, clothes torn and stained, no shoes on her feet. She looked like she had walked through hell to get here. The crowd gasped. "Security!" someone shouted. 2 guards rushed toward her, but the woman was faster. She ran down the aisle, her bare feet slapping against the marble floor. "Stop her!" Delia screamed. The woman dodged one guard, ducked under another, and before anyone could stop her, she reached the altar. She grabbed Kael's arm with both hands. Her grip was weak, her body trembling, as if she might collapse at any moment. But her eyes burned with desperate determination. "Please," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Please look at me." Kael stared at her, confused, horrified, ready to push her away. And then he looked at her face, really looked, past the dirt, past the sunken cheeks, past the years of suffering written on her skin. He saw her eyes, deep brown eyes with a ring of gold around the pupils, eyes he had seen once before, years ago, in a burning car on a Lagos highway. Kael's world stopped spinning. His knees buckled, and in front of 500 guests, the billionaire fell to his knees. "Liora," he whispered. The woman smiled, a weak, tired, beautiful smile. "You remember?" And then she collapsed in his arms. And to understand why Kael Voss fell to his knees, you have to go back 15 years to a night that changed everything. Lagos, Nigeria. Kael was 21 years old, a university student with big dreams and empty pockets. He had grown up poor in Aba. His father was a carpenter. His mother sold vegetables at the market. They sacrificed everything to send their only son to university in Lagos. "Education is the key," his mother always said. "Get your degree. Build a better life." Kael took those words to heart. He studied computer science during the day and worked security at a hotel at night. He slept 4 hours, ate one meal, saved every naira. He was going to make something of himself. That night, Kael was taking a bus home from his night shift. The highway was dark, the driver was tired, and no one saw the truck coming. The collision was catastrophic. The bus flipped 3 times. Glass shattered. Metal screamed. When Kael opened his eyes, he was trapped. The bus was on fire. Flames licked at his legs. Smoke filled his lungs. He couldn't move. His leg was pinned under a twisted seat. "This is how I die," he thought, in a burning bus, alone. He closed his eyes and waited for the end. And then he felt hands, small hands, strong hands, pulling at the metal that trapped him. "Hold on. I'm getting you out." A girl's voice, young, determined. Kael opened his eyes and saw her, 17 years old, thin, wearing a tattered school uniform that was already covered in soot. She was pulling at the metal with her bare hands, her fingers bleeding. "Leave me," Kael gasped. "Save yourself." "Shut up," she snapped. "I'm not letting you die." She pulled harder, screamed with effort, and somehow, impossibly, she bent the metal enough for Kael to slide his leg free. She grabbed him under the arms and dragged him toward the emergency exit. The flames were everywhere now. The heat was unbearable, but she didn't stop. She kicked out the emergency door and pulled Kael through, tumbling onto the highway with him. They hit the ground hard. Kael rolled onto his back, gasping for air, staring at the stars. Beside him, the girl lay panting, her school uniform smoking. "You're insane," Kael whispered. "You could have died." The girl laughed, a beautiful, exhausted laugh. "So could you. But here we are." Kael turned to look at her. That's when he saw her eyes, deep brown with a ring of gold around the pupils. "What's your name?" he asked. "Liora Hale." "I'm Kael, and I owe you my life." She smiled. "Then live a good one. That's all I ask." In the distance, sirens wailed. Help was coming. Kael's vision began to blur. The pain from his injuries was overwhelming. "Stay with me," he murmured. "I want to thank you properly." But when the ambulance arrived and Kael woke up in the hospital 3 days later, Liora was gone. He asked the nurses, asked the police, asked everyone. No one knew who she was. No one had seen where she went. The girl who saved his life had vanished like a ghost. For 15 years, Kael searched for her. He hired investigators, posted rewards, visited every hospital, every school, every village in the region. Nothing. It was like she had never existed. But Kael never forgot. He kept a sketch of her face, drawn from memory, in his wallet everywhere he went. "Who's that?" Delia had asked once early in their relationship. "Someone I owe everything to," Kael had replied. Delia had rolled her eyes and changed the subject. She never understood, but Kael never stopped looking. And now, 15 years later, Liora had found him. While Kael cradled Liora's unconscious body, chaos erupted in the cathedral. But the biggest chaos was happening in Delia's heart because her perfect plan was falling apart. "What is happening?" Delia's scream echoed through the church. She stormed toward Kael, her $100,000 dress dragging behind her, her face twisted with fury. "Who is this woman? Why are you touching her? We're in the middle of our wedding." Kael didn't even look at her. He was on his knees, cradling Liora in his arms, checking her pulse, brushing the hair from her face. "She's burning up," he said to Ronan. "Call an ambulance now." Ronan already had his phone out, on it. Kael grabbed his shoulder. "Are you listening to me? Put that dirty woman down and finish this wedding." Kael finally looked up at her, and the look in his eyes made her step back. Cold, hard, like he was seeing her for the first time. "This woman," he said quietly, "saved my life 15 years ago. She pulled me from a burning bus with her bare hands, while everyone else ran away." The crowd murmured. "I don't care," Delia shrieked. "That was 15 years ago. I am your bride. I am standing right here now. Put her down and—" "Delia." Kael's voice was ice. "One more word and this wedding is over." Delia's mouth snapped shut. But her eyes were pure venom misses. If Arden Vale, Delia's mother, rushed to her daughter's side. "What is going on?" she hissed. "Control this situation." "I'm trying, Mama. Try harder. Do you know how much money we've invested in this wedding? In this man? If you lose him now, we lose everything." That was the truth of it. The Vale family wasn't wealthy. They had the appearance of wealth, the designer clothes, the luxury apartment, the expensive taste. But it was all a facade. They were drowning in debt, and Delia's marriage to Kael was their ticket out. It had all been planned from the beginning. Mrs. Vale had researched Atlanta's eligible billionaires. She had identified Kael, rich, charitable, and known for his soft heart. She had orchestrated their chance meeting at a charity gala. She had coached Delia on exactly what to say, what to wear, how to act. Every moment of their 2-year relationship had been carefully calculated. And now this nobody from his past, was ruining everything. Mrs. Vale leaned close to Delia. "Listen to me. That woman looks half dead already. Let him have his moment. Play the supportive fiancé. When she's gone, you finish what we started." Delia took a breath, composed herself. She walked over to Kael and knelt beside him, her voice suddenly soft. "Baby, I'm sorry. I was just shocked. Of course, you should help her. She saved your life. Let me help too." Kael glanced at her. He wanted to believe she had a heart. He wanted to believe the woman he was about to marry was capable of compassion. "Thank you," he said quietly. But Ronan was watching, and Ronan had seen the look in Delia's eyes before she put on her mask. He knew exactly what she was. The ambulance came. Liora was rushed to Emory Hospital, and slowly, the truth of what she had been through came to light. The doctor said she was severely malnourished, dehydrated, suffering from late-stage kidney failure. She needed a transplant urgently. Without one, she had weeks to live, maybe days. Kael sat by her bedside for 6 hours, waiting for her to wake up. He canceled the wedding, sent all 500 guests home, ignored the 47 calls from Delia. None of it mattered. Only Liora mattered. When she finally opened her eyes, the first thing she saw was him. "You're here," she whispered. "I'm here, and I'm not leaving." Tears formed in her eyes. "I looked for you," Kael said. "For 15 years, everywhere. Why did you disappear?" Liora turned away, the pain in her face not physical. "Because I wasn't worth finding." "What do you mean?" She was quiet for a long moment. Then she told him everything. After the accident, Liora had gone home. But home wasn't safe. Her stepfather was a cruel man, a drunk. He beat her mother, beat her, took whatever money they had and drank it away. When Liora came home with burns on her hands and soot in her lungs, he didn't ask if she was okay. He demanded to know why she wasn't at school. For 5 years, she lived in hell. When she finally escaped, she had nothing. No money, no papers, no way home. She spent the next 10 years working her way back, cleaning houses, washing clothes, sleeping on streets and in shelters. She never stopped thinking about the boy she saved from the burning bus. She followed his story from afar, saw him build his company, saw him become a billionaire, saw him get engaged. She was happy for him, but she never tried to contact him. "Why not?" Kael asked, tears streaming down his face. "I would have helped you. I would have given you anything." Liora smiled weakly. "Because you didn't owe me anything, Kael. I saved you because it was right, not for a reward." "Then why come now? Why today?" She looked at him with those golden brown eyes. "Because I'm dying, and I wanted to see your face one more time, just to know that the life I saved was a good one." Kael broke down. He held her hand and wept. "It wasn't good enough," he said. "Not while you were suffering. But I'm going to fix that. I'm going to save you now." "Kael, no. You saved my life. Now I'm saving yours." Kael attacked the problem like he attacked every business challenge, with everything he had. He flew in the best nephrologists from around the world. He offered a $1 million reward for a matching kidney donor. He had every member of his staff tested for compatibility. Nothing worked. Liora had a rare blood type. Finding a match was nearly impossible. Days passed, and her condition worsened. Kael barely ate, barely slept. He lived at the hospital, reading to her, talking to her, refusing to let go. Delia, meanwhile, was furious. She came to the hospital once, perfectly dressed, perfectly made up, to check on her dear fiancé. "Baby, you need to come home. You're exhausting yourself. Let the doctors handle this. She's just a stranger." Kael looked at her. "She's not a stranger. She's the reason I'm alive. And I'm not leaving until she is, too." Delia's mask slipped for just a moment. That cold, calculating look returned. "And what about our wedding? We have deposits to consider. Guests who flew in from other countries. Are you just going to throw all that away for for someone who was willing to die for me?" "Yes, I am." Delia stormed out. But before she left, she made a phone call. "Mama, this is getting out of control. We need to do something now." Mrs. Vale had an idea. A terrible, dark, desperate idea. If they couldn't separate Kael from Liora through persuasion, maybe they could separate them permanently. She made some calls, called in some favors, found someone who could handle problems like this. Someone who could make a dying woman disappear forever. After all, she was already dying. Who would even notice? But someone did notice. Ronan. He had never trusted the Vales, and he had been watching them carefully. When he saw Mrs. Vale meeting with a suspicious-looking man in the hospital parking lot, he knew something was wrong. He followed them, listened, recorded, and what he heard made his blood run cold. Just make sure it looks natural. She's already sick, and no one will question it. Ronan had to warn Kael. Ronan burst into Liora's hospital room with his phone in hand. What he revealed would change everything. "Kael, you need to hear this now." Kael looked up from Liora's bedside. "What is it?" Ronan played the recording. Mrs. Vale's voice filled the room. "Just make sure it looks natural. She's already sick. No one will question it." The man's voice. And the payment. "Half now, half when it's done. But it needs to happen tonight, before he does something stupid like marry her instead." Silence. Kael's face went from confusion to disbelief to pure rage. Is that Delia's mother?" "Yes." "She's trying to kill Liora." "Yes." Kael stood up slowly. His hands were shaking, not from fear, from fury. "Where is Delia?" "In the waiting room. She's been texting her mother non-stop." Kael walked out of the room. Ronan followed, ready to hold him back if necessary. But what happened next didn't require violence. It was worse. It was truth. Delia was sitting in the waiting room, scrolling through her phone when Kael appeared. She looked up with a fake smile. "Baby, you're finally taking a break. Come, let's go get... Did you know?" Delia blinked. "Know what?" Kael held up Ronan's phone, pressed play. Mrs. Vale's voice. The hitman's voice. The entire plan. Delia's face went pale. That's not... Kael, I can explain. Did you know? Delia's eyes darted around, looking for escape, looking for a lie, but there was nowhere to run. I didn't. I mean, my mother was just... She was trying to protect us, Kael. That woman is ruining everything. You were supposed to marry me. We had a plan. A plan? Kael laughed bitterly. You had a plan to marry me for my money, to kill the woman who saved my life, to live off my wealth while you felt nothing for me. That's not... I heard everything, Delia. I know about the debts. I know about your mother's scheme. I know that everything was a lie. Delia's mask finally shattered. Her face twisted with rage. Fine. Yes, it was a plan. Do you think a woman like me actually falls for a man like you? You're boring, Kael. You talk about technology and charity and saving the world. I wanted your money, your lifestyle, not your soul. The waiting room fell silent. Everyone was watching. Doctors, nurses, patients, all staring at the billionaire and his unraveling bride. Kael nodded slowly. Thank you, Delia, for finally being honest. He turned to Ronan. Call the police. Show them the recording. I want Mrs. Vale arrested for conspiracy to commit murder. No, Delia screamed. You can't. She's my mother. She tried to kill an innocent woman. She can explain that to a judge. Kael walked away. Delia fell to her knees, sobbing, but no one felt sorry for her. Mrs. Vale was arrested that night, but Liora was still dying, and time was running out. Kael sat by her bedside, holding her hand. I'm sorry, he said. I'm so sorry I couldn't find you sooner. If I had found you years ago, maybe... Shh. Liora squeezed his hand weakly. You found me now. That's enough. It's not enough. You need a kidney. I need to save you. Some things aren't meant to be saved, Kael. Don't say that. Don't you dare say that. The door opened. A nurse walked in with a clipboard, her face strange. Mr. Voss, the doctor needs to see you immediately. Kael's heart clenched. Is it bad news? The nurse smiled. No, sir. It's a miracle. The doctor met Kael in the hallway. We found a match. What? How? I thought her blood type was... It is rare. Extremely rare. But we found a perfect match. Someone who is willing to donate. Who? The doctor looked at his chart. You, sir? Kael blinked. Me? When you were tested last week, we focused on the basic markers and dismissed you as incompatible. But one of our specialists took a closer look at your file today. Your deeper markers are a near-perfect match. It's extraordinary, actually. Like you were made for this. Kael didn't hesitate. Take it. Take my kidney. Do the surgery tonight. Sir, there are risks. You need time to... She saved my life 15 years ago. She didn't ask for time. She didn't weigh the risks. She just acted. Now it's my turn. The doctor smiled. I'll prep the surgical team. The surgery took 7 hours, but when it was over, 2 people woke up with a new chance at life. Kael woke first. His side ached. His throat was dry. But he was alive. And across the room, in another bed, Liora was waking up too. Their eyes met, and for the first time in 15 years, she smiled without pain. "You saved me," she whispered. "I owed you one." They both laughed, then winced. Laughing hurt after surgery, but it was a good kind of hurt. The weeks that followed were filled with healing. Kael stayed by Liora's side through every step of recovery. He hired the best physical therapists, flew in nutritionists. He gave her a suite in his home where she could rest comfortably. He asked for nothing in return, but slowly, something grew between them. Something that had been planted 15 years ago on a burning highway. Something that had waited patiently, like a seed in dry soil until the rain finally came. Love. Real love. Not the calculated performance Delia had given him. Not the fake smiles and empty words. Real, honest, soul-deep love. The kind that pulls you from a burning car. The kind that gives you a kidney without hesitation. The kind that sees the person, not the bank account. One evening, 3 months after the surgery, Kael and Liora sat on his balcony, watching the Atlanta sunset. She was healthy now, strong. Her cheeks had color. Her eyes sparkled. "What happens next?" she asked. Kael took her hand. "I don't know, but I know I want to find out with you." Liora looked at him. "Kael, I have nothing. No money, no status, no family. I'm not like Delia. I can't give you fancy parties and magazine covers. Delia gave me lies dressed up in designer clothes. You gave me my life. There's no comparison." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Liora's breath caught. "This isn't the ring I bought for Delia," Kael said. "I returned that one. This is different. This is a ring I designed myself. It has no diamond, just a simple gold band with words engraved inside." He opened the box. Inside the band, in tiny letters, were 3 words. "You saved me. Liora Hale. I've loved you for 15 years. I just didn't know it until now. Will you let me spend the rest of my life trying to repay the debt I owe you?" Tears streamed down her face. "Yes," she whispered, 1,000 times. "Yes." Kael slipped the ring on her finger, and for the first time in either of their lives, they were both exactly where they were supposed to be. Kael Voss and Liora Voss were married 6 months later, not in a cathedral with 500 guests and imported flowers, but in a small garden with 30 friends and flowers from Kael's mother's backyard. It was perfect. They used their combined fortune, because Liora was now Mrs. Voss, after all, to build shelters for trafficking survivors across 3 continents. Liora personally helped rescue over 200 women from the life she had escaped. She never forgot what it felt like to be invisible, and she made sure no one else would feel that way again. As for Delia and Mrs. Vale was convicted of conspiracy to commit murder. She's serving 15 years in federal prison. Delia lost everything: the apartment, the clothes, the lifestyle. She was last seen working as a waitress in a diner outside Atlanta. She still tells anyone who will listen that Kael ruined her life. But we all know the truth. She ruined her own. And the lesson of this tale: sometimes the people who save us aren't wearing capes. They're wearing tattered clothes and bare feet. They're the ones who act when everyone else runs away. They're the ones who don't ask for credit. And if you're lucky enough to find them again, don't ever let them go. If this story touched your heart, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because every tale has a lesson, and the archive never forgets. In the tapestry of life, stories like that of Kael Voss and Liora remind us of a profound truth. True heroes often arrive not in shining armor, but in rags and bare feet, driven by raw compassion rather than expectation of reward. Imagine a young man trapped in the flames of a crashing bus, his dreams on the brink of ashes, only to be pulled free by a stranger, a girl who risked everything without a second thought. For years, Kael built an empire of wealth and power, yet his heart remained anchored to that fleeting act of kindness, a debt unspoken but unbreakable. When Liora reappeared at his lavish wedding, frail and forgotten by the world, it shattered the illusions of his polished life. His bride-to-be, Delia, embodied the superficial allure of status and schemes, her love a calculated facade built on deceit and desperation. But Liora, enduring trafficking, poverty, and near death, sought nothing but to witness the good life she had preserved. In that moment of recognition, Kael's world realigned, not toward fortune or fame, but toward gratitude and genuine connection. He canceled the ceremony, exposed the treachery, and gave his own kidney to save her, transforming suffering into salvation. Their union wasn't grand. It was simple, rooted in soul-deep love that bloomed from sacrifice. This tale teaches us that life's greatest debts are repaid not with money, but with unwavering loyalty and empathy. It urges us to look beyond appearances, to honor the quiet saviors who shape our paths, and to act selflessly when fate calls. In a world obsessed with superficial success, remember, the barefoot rescuer might just be the one who leads you home. If this story stirred your soul, share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever encountered a life-changing act of kindness? Hit subscribe and turn on notifications for more heart-wrenching tales that inspire and uplift. Your engagement keeps these stories alive.